Joe Chili, mornings 7 to 9 on Buffalo's oldie station, the Big Weck. Joining us today on the Big Weck's Buffalo on the Rise is Jimmy Scaringi, who is from 716 Synergy. How you doing today?
I'm good, Joe. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you here. Nice to have a paisan on with me.
That's right.
Every once in a while, isn't that right? One of the things that we want to talk about is the hyperbaric chamber. When I think of this, I think of things like Michael Jackson. I think of things that if people that have the bends, when I think of them coming up, right, going into a chamber, So explain to us kind of what it really is.
That's awesome, and all that is very true. The thing that we really want people to know about hyperbaric is it's not new, it's not a cutting edge technology. It's actually been around for decades, but it's primarily been used in the medical system under 14 FDA approved uses. So things like diabetic ulcers, carbon monoxide poisoning, gas gangrene, pulmonary embolisms, like you said, the bends, you get a diver down, you got to put them in. So it's been around for decades, but more and more over the last, say, 5-10 years, it started to go off-label in its uses. So there's been more use around it with stem cells, performance enhancement, recovery. So we want to really get out to people what are the main things that going in a hyperbaric chamber does. And there's two major mechanisms of action. One is called angiogenesis, which is the regrowth of the vascular system. So if somebody's had, say, a stroke, they now have some sort of paralysis because there's a loss of blood flow to that part of the brain.
Okay.
Well, under a hyperbaric chamber, it's actually going to cause this part of the brain where there is blood flow to regrow to this part of the brain where it's lost. That is angiogenesis, complete repair of the vascular system. The other part that hyperbaric does is something called neurogenesis, which is the regrowth of the nervous system. So if you have something that is a neurological condition, things like Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, dementia, neuropathy, they do amazing when you put them in a hyperbaric chamber. So there's massive growing data to these off-label uses, and we're happy to be a part of bringing that forward to our community and getting people in a chamber outside of just the 14 FDA-approved uses.
All right, so the misnomer, and when people say, I'm just coming in and you're having me breathe oxygen, it's not that. It has to do with pressure, right?
Significantly, and I've had that question many a times from patients, which is, hey, my uncle's on an oxygen tank. Should I just go to his house and breathe that mask for an hour? And I laugh and say, well, you can, but it's not going to give you the same kind of therapeutic benefit. You hit the nail on the head, Joe, which is when you put them in the pressurized chamber. So we carry different chambers that go to different pressures, but ultimately they do the same thing, which is when you're under pressure, you're condensing the gas molecule that is oxygen. So right now, as you sit here, as our listeners listening to us, we are under normal atmospheric pressure, which only allows our red blood cells to contain oxygen. When we put you under pressure and you condense that gas molecule, you're actually going to get oxygen leaving your red blood cell and going into your blood plasma. That never happens in physiology or anatomy under any other condition except when you put the body under pressure. So what that means is you're going to get oxygen and blood flow to areas of the body that may not normally get them, which is why something like a stroke person having that loss of blood flow gets angiogenesis, because you're getting blood and oxygen into areas that are otherwise dead or not receiving it.
All right, so how does this work with anti-aging?
So that's a very good question. In 2017, a wonderful study came out proving, and to me, I've been in the health and fitness world for 20 years. I've never seen anything produce this kind of result. The study proved that after 60 sessions in a 2.0 ATA chamber, which just means it's got more pressure on it, and we have one of those, you see a 30% increase of telomeres. Our telomeres are a metric of our life expectancy. So in scientists, and they look under a microscope and see, oh, your telomere length is this. Well, this is the determining factor of your life expectancy, barring an accident or an act of God. The longer your telomeres are, the more life in front of you. The shorter, the less. This is the only thing I've ever seen in 20 years of being in the fitness and health and wellness industry that's actually produced a telomere lengthen to that improvement. So going in the chamber, 2.0, 60 times increases life expectancy by 30%.
So it's kind of like the fountain of youth.
I was telling Craig before we got on the air, I'm not saying that I got the fountain of youth, and I know I'm not maybe the oldest person you've had on the show, but at 40 years old, father of 2, I have 7 businesses, 35 employees. I carry a lot of stress, but I think I look like a young man and feel like one for 40 years of age.
That's pretty well. Now, tell us about, you said that this can help with wound injuries. How does that help?
Oh my God, it's amazing. Because what you're doing, same thing, right? You're pressurizing the body and creating that higher level of oxygen. So what it really causes is something called hyperpoxia. most people who are sadly passing or dying, they're experiencing hypoxia, a loss of oxygen. So when we do a hyperpoxic situation, it increases and amplifies the healing process tenfold. And that, ironically, is one of the 14 FDA-approved uses, having wounds that aren't healing. But I hear from many people that come to my clinics, I've never known that, or I've never had somebody offer that to me, and I actually have a diabetic ulcer.
What does it feel like when you're in this chamber? I mean, people are going to wonder, do I feel weird? Do I feel like I'm in an airplane? Are my ears going to pop? Do I feel like, what does it feel like?
Awesome question. That's exactly what it's going to feel like. While we're pressurizing the chamber, it's going to be just like going on an airplane. So you will feel a temporary pressure building in the ears, and we teach patients and make sure that they know how to clear them. But basically, if you can get on an airplane, you can get in the chamber. Once the chamber is at full pressure, you actually don't feel anything at all. I tell most people, you're probably going to twiddle your thumbs going, is this thing even doing anything? Because I don't feel nothing. You only feel pressure while we pressurize you. So you're going to go 4, 5, 6 minutes of getting it, 50 minutes or so at full pressure where you're just relaxing, enjoying your time on your phone, your tablet, etc. And then when we depressure you, you'll feel that come off. So it's really a minimal to non-invasive procedure that you don't end up feeling a ton except until you're done. Wow, I have a lot of energy, or my God, I slept so great, or whatever the case or the condition that we may be working with. After enough sessions, you see it resolve.
And the good thing is you won't lose my luggage.
No, we definitely won't lose your luggage.
That's really good. Jimmy Scarinci, thank you. We really appreciate this.
It.
716 Synergy. And for more information on Synergy, you can visit their new location at Broadway and Bowen in Lancaster, 5827 Broadway. Give them a call, 716-288-5252, and find out more about their services and partner locations at synergyhyperbaric.com. synergyhyperbaric.com. Sponsorship and promotional consideration for the preceding segment was provided by Synergy Hyperbaric.